All right, welcome back to Around the Father's Table podcast. It's good to be back with you. Obviously, we're missing one. Our buddy Cole got married this past weekend, and him and his new wife, Haven, are honeymooning down in Jamaica, and wishing them the best and ready for them to be back. Cole will be preaching our Youth Sunday this coming Sunday, and I talked to him a little bit last night. He sent me a text and I think he got a little worry-warty about some things, and I said, "Man, you had a lot on your mind. Mm-hmm. We got you taken care of." But just ready for them to be back, and excited for them and their new journey they're about to embark on. Certainly a journey for sure.
Oh yeah. Where did y'all go on y'all's honeymoon?
We went to Cozumel, Mexico. That's the first time I'd ever been on a plane. It's the first time I'd ever been out of country. First time I'd ever been out of the South that I can remember of. And it was interesting for sure. Had everybody not wanting, don't drink the water.
Yeah.
And you get down there and I wouldn't drink it coming out of the faucet, but they had like big 10-gallon jugs of, I think it was like crystal water that they had every day, and that's what we would drink. And you had to drink Mexican Sprite and Mexican Coke that was flavored with like real deal sugar cane, back old school stuff. And don't leave the resort and all this, that, and the other, and get out of the plane and you're driving to your resort and there's dudes with M4s every 30 or 40 yards, and you ask the cab driver, like, what are those guys doing? They're like, oh, they'll protect you from the gangsters. It's like, oh, great, I'm glad they're here. So
I'm at a honeymoon, and meanwhile there's war going on.
A war around us. But yeah, it was great. We've actually talked about maybe for our 10-year anniversary going back to the same resort and try to get the same room and all that, but we'll have to cross that bridge when we get there.
Yeah.
But where'd y'all go?
So we actually we eloped, and we just took off and went to Gatlinburg and rented out a chapel up there in the mountains, and it was me, her, a preacher, and a witness.
There you go.
So we got married, and then we're at our honeymoon at the same time.
Right.
And we spent about a week up there just,
honeymoon.
It wasn't a traditional wedding that people are so accustomed to, and there was some hurt feelings here or there. But at the end of the day, we knew what we wanted, and we knew why we were doing it. So, yeah, we honeymooned in Gatlinburg.
There you go. I mean, we every girl has their dream wedding that they want. And, Kelsey got that. She got basically the wedding that she wanted. We had to compromise. I wanted to be married in a church, and she wanted to be married outside, so we got married in an outdoor church. And, but I mean, we went the quote unquote traditional way. We got married, went that night to Atlanta, stayed in a motel, got on the train, got on a plane, flew out. I mean, there's a lot of people that don't do that, and there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, you do whatever.
Yeah.
Looking back on it now, I wish I would have saved the money.
Well, and me looking back on it, I sort of wish we would have did the whole shebang.
Yeah.
But in return, I mean, it literally cost us $2,000 for the wedding and the honeymoon.
Yeah, I wish.
So there's pros and cons to everything, and it all works out. And then at the end of the day, either one of us are just as married as the couple that goes down to the courthouse, and
Yep.
There's a lot of different forms of weddings, different forms of how they want things done, and different extents of payment to I think the largest wedding I've ever been to was probably around $300,000. and it was insane. Yeah, it was super, super nice. I'll never forget it. But you got to think about the means to that.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that's a crazy amount. But yeah, and that's sort of what I wanted to lead off to is since Brother Cole did get married, beautiful wedding. Enjoyed it. We all had fun. I think everybody's seen Bo's dance moves by now.
Oh yeah. I think at least 40 people got hit with one of them little glow up things from my son.
Yeah, well,
he went wild.
The more they have those at weddings, the more they know what to do with them.
Oh yeah.
I mean, Bo knew exactly what they were, and he was going to get at least 2.
As soon as Sally seen the first one light up, so she was gung ho on having one, and still just wanted one to hit people with.
Yeah. But before we get started, I want to say to everybody that's reached out, to everybody that's commented, liked, subscribed, thank y'all. It really helps us whenever engagement happens. It lets us know that people are listening, people are paying attention, and giving us feedback. Hey, what about this? Or, hey, your mic wasn't working. Or, hey, everything sounded great. So before we get started, I know everybody here appreciates the people that watch and like and subscribe and comment, posting questions. But thank you.
Yep.
As we start this endeavor, episode 3. But let's get started with marriage. I mean, everyone here now on Around the Father's Table podcast is married. And there may be people listening that have been married for 40, 50, 60 years. And there may be people listening that maybe aren't married. So from a biblical perspective, biblical marriage is rooted in the creation narrative found in Genesis 2:24, which states, "For this reason, a man will leave his father and mother and will be united to his wife, and they will become one flesh." This verse highlights the core element of marriage, the union of a man and a woman in a conventional bond that signifies a lifelong commitment. Marriage is not merely a social contract, but a divine institution designed for companionship, procreation, and mutual support. It's crazy how that gets twisted.
Oh, man.
That's just a basic roundabout definition of a biblical marriage. And that in itself from the beginning is twisted.
Yeah. I mean, we're living in a day where it's not a man and a wife anymore. It's a man and a man, or a woman and a woman. And I want to say this for everybody that watches this. I do not condone that. I do not agree with it. If that's what people do, that's and there's a lot of people that's going to disagree with me on this. If that's what you want to do, then by all means go for it. I'm not your judge. I'm not going to agree with you. I'm never going to agree with you. Mainly because the Bible says that homosexuality is an abomination unto God. And if it goes against God, it goes against me. But there's a lot of people, and I'm not mad at these people, that they get married and something that really encouraged me. We went up on the loft area. It's kind of the best place for our kids to be.
Oh yeah.
And the maid of honor's mom and dad was up there too. And I went back up there to get some stuff. I was just up there by myself, and the guy come over and he said, "I really appreciate hearing a biblical wedding."
Yeah.
So he said, "It's been a long time since I've heard one of those." And that kind of got me thinking, and I'm sure we'll talk about this here in a minute, but if we're not being wed biblically, then why are we doing it? You know?
And how do you expect for an unbiblical marriage to have or unbiblical wedding to have a biblical marriage?
Right.
If you're not starting out
Right.
correct in the beginning, it's going to be super difficult to yeah, I agree. It's twisted on its head more and more, and it's becoming more and more, relative.
Mm-hmm.
It's common now.
Oh, yeah.
I remember when it wasn't, and it was a big, big issue.
Mm-hmm.
And you did have some people that they stood their ground and they said what they believed and they meant what they believed, and in today's time that was not enough.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it just is, we're going to get to this later on. It is our job as fathers to teach our kids.
Mm-hmm.
Why is that not okay?
Right. Yeah.
And it's not bad for them to say, hey, I understand the Bible says that, or I understand that you say that, but why is that?
Yeah.
And I'm fine with that.
Mm-hmm.
If you have questions, please ask.
Yeah. I mean, there's nothing wrong with asking questions ever.
And so, and to sort of piggyback into that, and then the definition and the purpose of a biblical wedding, you also go into the covenantal nature, which we can get into that in a minute. But the roles and responsibilities in a biblical marriage, both partners have distinct roles.
Mm-hmm.
Husbands are called to love their wives self-sacrificially, as illustrated in Ephesians 5:25,
mm-hmm.
which states, "Husband, love your wives as Christ loves the church, and give himself up for her." Wives are encouraged to respect and support their husbands, creating a partnership and that reflects the relationship between Christ and the church.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the times, this is the most understood portion of what it means to have a biblical marriage in the responsibilities.
Mm-hmm.
Me as a husband, I don't need love and affection.
Right.
I don't need to be reminded daily that I'm loved.
Yeah.
And I had a conversation with one of my buddies about this just the other day, and he said, well, I kind of do. I kind of need love and affection. And I said, but that's given in respect.
Right.
And I think that's one thing that if you respect your husband, I promise you,
there'll be a lot more love and nurture come out of that.
You do not have to do anything else. And for me, that's why Valentine's Day, you have to buy flowers, and you're constantly having to spice things up, whether
mm-hmm.
Whatever it may be, with loving your wife, because she is a loving and affectionate person. She needs constant reminder that she is loved.
Yep.
And I fell at that. We all fell at that.
I'm probably the least affectionate person at East Heflin.
I'd challenge you on that.
I'm not romantic. Valentine's Day, our anniversary, is probably the most romantic I get. It's not that I don't love my wife.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't see that pull, Now, every once in a while, we had some wildflowers grow down in the bottom of our land, and I'd pull up the driveway one day and grabbed them, brought them up. It's like, hey, these are pretty.
Mm-hmm.
Got you some flowers. And she went, why? It's odd for me to do.
Yeah.
And it's not that, and I know there's a lot of people, and you'll agree with this. What did you do?
Yeah.
What did you do?
Why are you trying to?
Why are you trying to suck up?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because for so long I've been like this.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, it's not that I don't love my wife. I just have a different view on it than I'm sure that you agree with me, and a lot of people will. Me and her had this conversation. If I have to buy your love, I'm poor.
Mm-hmm.
I can't buy love. I can't buy love.
Yep.
And so, but that's something that me and her had to. We've talked about a lot. We still talk about. I'm sure there's people who've been married 40 or 50 years that still talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, do you still love me?
Yeah.
You know, you don't hug on me. I know this is a Christian show, but we're humans, and
Mm-hmm.
you don't grab my butt like you used to.
Yeah.
You know, this, that, and the other. And a lot of times, it's not that we don't want to do that. There's some days that we're just some dadgum tired that we just want to
Mm-hmm.
we just want to crash out.
I just want to sit there and do nothing.
Right.
Sit there and do nothing. And I think one of the things that, here's another struggle for me is, to be love and affectionate towards our wives. Yeah, we can give our best effort,
Mm-hmm.
but Daddy didn't love on Mama growing up.
Right.
I didn't see that growing up.
Right.
That was not a thing. I know Daddy loved Mama because Daddy worked every day,
Mm-hmm.
and he made sure that there was food on the table, and that he made sure that we were safe at night.
Right.
That's how I know that Daddy loved Mama.
Yep.
But I knew that Mama respected Daddy because there was supper at night.
Mm-hmm.
There was, hey, Daddy's home. Go tell him hello and give him a hug.
Mm-hmm.
I know that she respected him.
Right.
But the deep, affectionate love that women desire, and we know they desire it. But I will say this, for all women that watch this episode, we as men, we're dumb.
We are stupid.
We're not intelligent creatures. We're definitely not mind readers.
No.
And we definitely just don't know these things.
Oh yeah.
So please, for the love of all men out there, if you have a husband and you want him to be more loving and affectionate, go up to him and make him look you in the face and say, hey, I want you to be loving and affectionate towards me right now.
Yeah.
Whether that be hold my hand, sit with me, whatever it may be. But just be plain about it.
Yeah.
Because we don't read that.
Yeah.
We don't understand.
And then don't get sideways when they're like, "Why?
Why? Are you okay?
Is everything all right?
Did I do something?
Did I do something?
Yeah.
What I do?"
Yeah.
But going back to what you said, I say that in every marriage ceremony that I do. Right now, I'm 7 for 7.
Uh-oh.
So, not that matters, but I hope it does. But I tell the man, I read Ephesians 5:25 that husbands love your wives as Christ loved the church and gave himself for it. And then I turn that and I say women are to submit themselves to their own husbands. And I say that does not mean that you're a slave to him.
Yeah.
We got to such a place in the church where women were more like accessories than our helpmate, and and I grew up in stuff like that. Not to say that was the church that Dad pastored, but and we can talk about this in a little bit, but there's certain things in the church that men do and women do. At East Heflin, we don't have men working our nursery.
Yeah.
No men in our nursery. even if, and I don't care if a man listens to this and gets all sideways about it, you might love your grandbabies more than anybody.
Mm-hmm.
That's fine. I don't want you in the nursery with our kids.
Yeah.
It's just, that's a woman's place.
Yeah.
Is in the nursery with the kids. Just the same as the women in our church, their place is not out in the parking lot spraying weeds and stuff like that.
Doing security or
doing security, stuff like that. And I know the equal rights. I'm all for that.
Mm-hmm.
But there is a place for women in the church, and there's a place for men in the church.
Yep.
There is a place for them to coexist
Mm-hmm.
on our stage,
Mm-hmm.
on our worship stage. Let me say that. Not behind the pulpit, but on the worship platform, in the kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that. Even though our Miss Diane runs our kitchen, and it's mostly women that are in there.
Yeah.
Brother Tommy helps. Brother Terry helps.
Yep.
Brother Jimmy helps. And it's, but that goes back to the saying that I've never been one, going off of what you said, to come home and expect my house to be clean or expect a meal to be waiting on me when I got home, even though I was raised like that.
Yeah.
And the reason why is because I'm just as able-bodied to do it as she is.
Yep.
Yeah, she's at home and takes care of kids all day, and
Mm-hmm.
that is her job, and
Yep.
that's fine with me. But I've never been one to, when I get home, why ain't supper fixed?
Yeah.
No, I can go in there and cook just as easy as she can, and she would rather me cook.
I would prefer to cook.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoy cooking.
Me too.
I like it. That don't make me a sissy or nothing
Yep.
like that. I love it. But then on the flip side, it's the women submitting themselves to the man. And the guy that married me and Kelsey, John Dorsey, he's a pastor up in Adairsville. Whenever we met with him and was talking to him about, we didn't go through a counseling session. We just went up there one Sunday evening, went to church with him, and he just talked to us.
Mm-hmm.
Made sure we were saved, and made sure we wasn't living together and all this kind of stuff. And he looked me dead in my eyes, and he said, if you will be good to her, she'll follow you to hell if that's where you go. And I'm not saying that I know there's been a couple of people, and I'll say that have asked me about marriage counseling.
Mm-hmm.
And I talked to Cole, I talked to Gracie and Levi.
Mm-hmm.
They just, and not kind of the same way Brother John did, just kind of sat down and talked about things like that. But said, this, that, and the other. I don't like doing that.
Yeah.
Because when people come, here's my opinion. I know I'm the pastor and I'm supposed to be available for counsel. That's great. That's fine. That's dandy. You want to talk to me about the Bible? Let's sit down and talk. We can talk all day.
Yeah.
However, when you come and talk to me about, and I don't mean to say this arrogantly, and I know somebody I'm sure could school me. My dad could school me. I'm sure there's some people in East Eflin that could probably school me. But I don't mind talking Bible to people because I know the Bible.
Yeah.
But I've only been married for 5 years.
Yeah.
You want me to? I feel like when people come and say, "Hey, I want some marriage counseling. Tell me how to be a good." I'm like, man,
Me too.
I've barely been in this thing.
Yeah.
I've been in this thing 6 years now.
Yeah.
So, but that's one thing that Brother John told us that has kind of stuck with me, and I try to relay it in a way, to say the same thing. So.
Yeah, and that whole word of submit to your husbands has been so twisted.
Yeah.
Like you said, that doesn't mean he's a slave to you. And I've got, and here's another thing. Hey, men, don't throw out, hey, wife, submit to me when you're not the man that you're called to be.
Right.
A wife is supposed to submit to a biblical husband.
Yep.
Not to someone who doesn't work, who, would rather be playing Xbox than spending time with his family.
Mm-hmm.
guy that, whatever it may be, be the man that you're called to be.
Yeah.
And it would make it easy for your wife to submit.
Yep.
It's a two-sided coin here. And that's my next point is to love your wife, to respect your husband, to be a biblical man, to be a submissive wife, to be whatever it may be. We can't fall into the trap of, well, I'll love her if she respects me.
Yeah.
Or I'll respect him if he loves me.
Right.
Then it's conditional. And it's not, like Scripture says, for unconditional love for each other. There's no condition that my wife has to meet for me to love her.
Right.
Even though we can try to meet certain conditions, at the end of the day, honey, I love you because I love you.
Right.
There's nothing you have to do. There's nothing that's going to degrade your love for me.
Right.
Now, obviously, different sins in our lives could affect our love for a person, but ultimately, I vow to love you unconditionally because God has loved me unconditionally.
Right.
And so don't get that twisted. Like, hey, if you'll do your part, then I'll do mine. Instead, hey, I'm going to do my part regardless if you do yours, and it's just going to retaliate good fruit.
Right.
So that's big in marriage, and it's something like you said. I'm coming up on my 10 year, and I guess no more video.
Keep talking. We'll work through this thing.
Yeah. But I'm coming up on my 10-year anniversary, and I still don't have it figured out. Although I wish I did. There's men out there that's been married for 25 plus that don't have it figured out, and that's the goal. But in conclusion to that, I'll read this conclusion, and it is: biblical marriage is a profound and sacred institution that serves as a foundation for family and society. It is characterized by a conventional commitment, mutual respect, and a reflection of God's relationship with humanity. Understanding these principles can guide couples in building strong, faith-based marriages that honor God and each other. By exploring these aspects, one can gain a deeper appreciation for the biblical view of marriage and its implications in contemporary relationships. Ultimately, what that means is if we do what we're supposed to do, everything's going to work out.
Right.
And with that, let's take a short break, and we'll be right back. And we're back.
Yep.
Little technical difficulties. So we left off with our conclusion to biblical marriage. And I had two things. I may just do the one. But getting into biblical marriage and how that can correspond with Scripture and all that other stuff. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give basically a title, the Jewish custom, the spiritual parallel, and the verse. And just to show how God's marriage to the church, the bride, which is us, how that's so prevalent in Jewish custom to marriage. So the first part is the marriage is called the seduch. The marriage is arranged. Jewish customs, the marriage was arranged by the father of the groom who chose a suitable bride. In the spiritual parallel, God the Father chose a bride for his Son, those who would believe in him. First, no one can come to me unless the Father who sent you drew me, John 6:44. And the second, the bride price. In Jewish custom, the groom paid a price to the bride's family, demonstrating his commitment. Jesus paid the ultimate price, his blood, to redeem his bride. And in the verses, Ephesians 5:25, you were bought at a price. And 1 Corinthians 6:20, Christ loved the church that he gave himself up for her. And then the third thing is the betrothal. In Jewish customs, a legally binding covenant was made. The bride was now set apart for the groom. In the spiritual parallel, believers are betrothed to Christ through faith, legally his, though the union is not yet fully realized. And the verse is Corinthians 11:2, I promise you to one husband, to Christ. And then Hosea 2:19 through 20, it says, I will betroth you to me forever. And then in number 4, the cup of the covenant. Jewish customs, during the betrothal ceremony, the groom offered the bride a cup of wine. If she drank it, she accepted the marriage covenant. In the spiritual parallel, Jesus offered the cup of the new covenant at the Last Supper. And in Luke 22:20, this cup is the new covenant is my blood. And then number 5 is the public announcement. Jewish customs, the father of the groom publicly announced the betrothal. Later, he alone would determine the time for the final wedding. In the spiritual parallel, the Father alone knows the day of Christ's return. That is a huge, huge debating point that people say, well, if Jesus is really God, why don't he know the time or the date or the hour?
Yeah.
I believe in heaven he does. I believe where he does know, because he is God. But here, as where he laid aside his deity, he was still God, but he had his flesh. I believe that he was being relatable, in a sense. Verse Mark 13:32. But on that day or hour, no one knows but the Father alone. And then number 6 is the groom leaves to prepare the bridal chamber. Jewish customs, after the betrothal, the groom left to build a room, a bridal chamber at his father's house. It happens to be approved by the father before he can return. In the spiritual parallel, Jesus told his disciples he's going to prepare a place for his bride, the church, in his Father's house. And in the verse, in my Father's house, there's many mansions, many rooms, whichever translation you may be. And then number 7, the bride waits and prepares herself. Jewish customs, while the groom was away, the bride prepared herself, remaining pure, and was always ready, because she didn't know the day he would return. And in the spiritual parallel, the church must live in holiness and readiness, eagerly waiting for Jesus' return. And in Revelation 19:7, let us rejoice and be glad, for the wedding of the Lamb has come, and his bride has made herself ready. And then in number 8 is the surprise return of the groom. When the father declares the bridal chamber was ready, the groom returned, often at night, announced by a shout and a trumpet to gather his bride. Spiritual parallel is that Jesus will return suddenly with a shout and a trumpet call, as foretold. In Matthew 25:6, at the midnight cry rang out, here's the bridegroom, come out to meet him. And then in number 9 is the wedding procession and the marriage supper. Jewish customs, the bride was taken to the groom's father's house in a joyful procession. The marriage was consummated and the wedding feast began. When Jesus returns, there will be a marriage supper of the Lamb, a great celebration in heaven. Revelation 19:9 says, blessed are those who are invited to the wedding of the supper of the Lamb. And then the final thing is the final union, dwelling together forever. After the Jewish wedding feast, the couple lived together in their home prepared by the groom. And the spiritual parallel is believers will dwell with Christ forever in the place he has prepared. Now the dwelling of God is with men, and he will live with them forever. Revelation 21:3. Mm-hmm. What a picture of Christ's marriage, ascension, preparation, and then one day he's going to come get us. Mm-hmm. To see that correlation, how that works, I was like, that's pretty good.
Yep. I mean, the whole reason that we do marriage ceremonies is because that's what Jesus did. That's what he's doing for us. I say it a lot from the pulpit, you know. There's a marriage supper going to happen, but the wedding don't start till the bride's ready. And when the bride's ready, that's when everything starts. And you know, I've never been to one wedding where, and I know people are going to get upset when I say it like this, but nobody cared about anybody walking down that aisle. But when the wedding march, or I know in today's hour, Kelsey she didn't walk down to a wedding march. Nothing wrong with that. But when that song hit, it's like, hey, something's happening. And that's what's going to happen when the trumpet sounds. It's going to be like, hey, that's the sound. We know something's fixing to happen.
Yep.
And twinkling of an eye, we gone.
Yep.
Yeah, it's interesting how God. And there's a lot of people say, well, I don't see that in Scripture. You don't take the time to study it.
Yeah. It's easy not to know it if you don't study it.
You read over it and you just think it's candid, or just flip it and read through it like it's just another day, instead of taking time to study it and be like, oh, there's actually something here.
Yeah, there's actually more to that than I realized.
Yeah.
And speaking of like walking down an aisle, as a tradition, you know, a lot of people don't know why we do that.
Yeah.
And I'll explain it like this. The tradition of walking down the aisle, it started in Genesis 15. And in Genesis 15, God makes a covenant with Abram. And in that covenant, the word covenant there in the Hebrew is berit, meaning to cut a covenant. So it was literally, he's saying, I'm going to cut a covenant with Abram. And what they would do is he told Abraham, to go get innocent animals, and, you know, if you were discretion advised, chop those animals in half, mm-hmm. put one half on this side and one half on that side, and make a pathway, what we would call an aisle. And in those days, what you would do is you would have those animals cut. If you were going to make a covenant, whether that be a marriage or a covenant with somebody, whatever it may be, you would walk down the middle of those animals. You would get up to wherever it may be together. You would recite a vow to the other person. And what you were saying is, in those days, the lesser of the two would be the one walking. Mm-hmm. And you would make a vow. And what you were saying is that if I broke this covenant, then I would be like those animals. Well, in those days in Genesis 15, and this was called a Caesarean vassal covenant, meaning, like I said, the greater party would make the lesser party walk down the aisle. Well, during this time, whenever Abram was making this covenant with the Lord, he did everything he's supposed to do. He was like, all right, here we go. You know, I'm going to walk down this aisle, and if I break this covenant, I'm going to be slaughtered like these animals are. All of a sudden, Abram gets put to sleep. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden, when he wakes, he sees, it says it's a fiery, burning pot. And it's the same language as it was with Moses on Mount Sinai. And he sees the Lord going down the aisle. And when he gets there, he's not saying, not only am I going to make sure that I keep my covenant, but what he was saying while he was walking with Abram, that if you break this covenant, then I'm going to be the one that's getting ripped in half and slaughtered. Mm-hmm. And then we know 3,500 years later, we did break that covenant. Mm-hmm. And God himself, making that covenant, came down and was crucified and was slaughtered, mm-hmm. Because he loves his bride. Yep. And that's why we walk down the aisle. So if you think about it, your families are actually just chopped up birds and stuff. Yeah. I thought it was pretty cool when I found that out. I was like, you never know why you do those things. I've heard different things about the why you have a golden ring, mm-hmm. Because of the purity of it. Yep.
I don't know if I would say preacher ain't got one on. That's white gold.
Yeah, I don't even have mine on. I don't even have one as far as a gold ring. Yeah. But anyway, that and of course there may be other questions, but if you have a question like, hey, why is there a flower girl? Why is there a ring bearer?
Because we have nephews and nieces.
Yeah, we have to include everybody.
Yeah.
Why do we stand when the bride comes down the aisle? Why do you have why do you have, bridesmaids, groomsmen? Why do you have those things? Why do your mom and dad and your grandpa and grandma, why do they sit on the front? Mm-hmm. If you have those questions and you want to know those answers, post them down below. Ask them different questions, and we'll try to get the answers. I think we know most of them, but I'll give y'all a little homework, make y'all ask questions. Yeah. But yeah, so that is biblical marriage, and that is nowhere near close to everything.
Yeah. Oh no.
That is nowhere near close to what it is, what it should be. But that is a roundabout biblical marriage. Mm-hmm. In honor of Brother Cole. Once again, congrats.
Yep.
We love y'all, and we're praying for y'all. And just know,
the climb starts now.
It's They say the first year of marriage is if you can get through that. Yep. But I disagree.
You got to get through the first 5.
You got to get through the first 5, and if you can ever get through the first year of having a kid.
Oh yeah. Oof.
Golden, pony boy.
Yeah, you'll be all right.
Golden, but yeah. And with that, I guess we can go into our next topic.
Well, we're gonna break it in half.
Well, I need a potty break anyway.
Yeah. So we appreciate y'all joining in on us, and we'll be listening for part 2. We're gonna try to drop that a couple of days after this one drops, and we'll get into that the next time. We appreciate you. See ya.
Yep.